One Punch Man attends Hogwarts the anime is without a doubt an accurate description of what the Mashle anime is, and it's what sold me on wanting to watch the first episode for many months now. But man, this one was even better than that tagline because not only do you have a character named Mash who is the goodest of boys, just seems like the nicest lad around. He has trained himself Saitama style that he literally can slap magic out of the air. And in comes a man named Brad Coleman, which is the best anime name I have ever heard, and challenges him because Mash, being someone who seemingly doesn't have the mark, can't use magic, world doesn't like that, challenges him to enter a magic academy and within a year be the picked student who's basically chosen by God. And if so, then obviously he'll be accepted into society. This show is hilarious. It's just different, and honestly, I highly recommend it. I think just the stretch between Wednesday to Friday is going to be comedy gold gems. Whether it's the Konosuba Megami spinoff on Wednesday, the hilarious, just ecchi humor of the legendary hero is dead on Thursday, or Mashle on Friday. This season's gonna have some comedy gems, but this one, without a doubt, one of my personal favorite first episodes of this spring 23 anime season. Now, if you do want to see my full live reaction as I watched this episode, I pretty much had a similar face to that of the deer or the squirrel as they were watching the training going on. You can head on over to my Patreon and consider supporting. This is definitely gonna be a gem to follow. And honestly, I like this one. I knew it was going to be funny. The PVs look funny, and the description of One Punch Man attends Hogwarts, I've heard that passed around the internet for a long time, so that's just an intriguing premise, right? And honestly, if the openings and endings are anything to go off of, we should expect a very unique adventure for a man who's all about physical strength, which was trained for self-defense, mind you, and he has his heart always in the right place, even if it doesn't go according to plan. You know the antics that are about to occur at this school is going to flip the teachers on their heads. I mean, there's a moment in this episode where a drunken police officer, and I love how it wasn't even just this one moment, but the first time it happens, he's just all about cream puffs, and he ends up getting some on this drunken slob's uniform, and instead of just being like, apologies, I'll buy you a new one, he rips, I don't know, a fourth of the uniform from the chest downwards off, and he's like, I'll return this to you, I'll clean it and return it to you. This moment is so perfect both on a comedy but also explaining who he is as a person in terms of characterization. Comedy-wise, you just stripped a police officer, and I mean, he felt like he was just like inappropriately touched based on the oh my reaction. But I love the fact that for Mash, what it does is it shows him like he wasn't trying to insult him. To him, that was actually the move, like, I'll take your uniform, not comprehending that, hey, you kind of are so strong that you didn't take the full uniform. The uniform's absolutely pointless now, even if you clean that part. I mean, the uniform's ruined. The first moment we see of him, he just busts down a door because he can't remember if it's push or pull. Poor Gramps needs to have signage all over his place because, I mean, I'm surprised he was able to tape that door back up. But I love the fact that this is clearly what makes this show different in pop, is that honestly, Mash as a character I thought would be a lot different. In terms of personality, I thought he would be a badass, or I thought it'd be something where like he was a lot more intimidating. But the idea that he's just someone who was raised as the goodest of boys, when he does something wrong and more or less gets grounded, you just want to hug him because you're like, it's okay my boy, you went out without permission, but it's okay, we'll make this work. It just feels like from the perfect casting of his VA, just feeling like he always is trying to be polite. Even when he's smacking around magic, he's playing volleyball, he's juggling, it's just so ridiculous. I love how when he's basically saying, don't mess with my family or you're going down to hell, it still feels like there's an element of politeness there, and that's why I'm so interested to see how he's going to interact with other characters, especially given the fact that seemingly, they put the mark on his face, which the mark seemingly is how you recognize someone born with magic or not. The marks come in all shapes and sizes. They can be on the cheek, they can come from the eye down. Some people seemingly have a couple of those markings. He doesn't have any, which is what caused the uproar to begin with. So I'm interested to see, is that a tattoo they put on him? Is it like a magic spell, or is it just marker because clearly he's blending into magic academies? And if the opening's anything to go off of, the only magic he might learn is how to make cream puffs, which is probably where his priorities lie. But I'm interested. I think in terms of an actual world, there's clearly history, there's clearly a power system, there's going to be world building. But following a boy like Mash is going to be an absolute treat to follow, and I was really happy to see how they handled production, because there was some rumblings. What if this one also gets delayed mid-season? It's possible. I'm not a future teller. I can't say for sure if it will or won't. But given the fact that for right now, they're just doing a one core and most likely are going to do multiple one cores, because I think the rumor is that they want to adapt the full manga. So the fact that clearly A1 Pictures is only doing one core right now, and the fact that they have a more simplistic art style to work with, and it's a comedy series, dips in production, and a comedy series, they just work together. So if this one does start having missed beats, it's probably just going to look funny anyway. And honestly, I liked what they did. There's these moments that are obviously beautiful, especially with the magic attacks. There's these hyper-detailed comedy reactions. But for the most part, the simplistic charm of this show, I think, is going to do wonders for keeping production consistent. At least, fingers crossed, that's what I'm hoping. The only other thing I really need to mention is that the OST is surprisingly heat. Opening and ending's fantastic, but there was a few different tracks where I was bobbing my head, I was jamming, I was saying, damn, that's actually a really impressive OST. Mashle might actually have one of the most surprising OSTs of the season, if episode 1's anything to go off of. Unfortunately, part of my audio was corrupted, so I had to re-record this real quick at my desk. I had to mention, I do like the emotional backstory that they gave to Gramps and Mash as a character, so both of which were more or less abandoned by society. So our boy, our grandpa here, our father figure, was literally about to kill himself one day after having a life of more or less being tossed to the curb, and honestly, you feel for him, and if it wasn't for finding this abandoned baby who basically, for the first time, gave him something to live for, he was actually going to jump. So I like the fact that rather than just being a parody of magical One Punch Man style antics, they do have heart. They wear their hearts on their sleeves, and it's no wonder a character like Mash became the lovable cinnamon roll that we see today, even if he does give me a bit of a frightening aura sometimes when I see him working out. Sometimes the best shows that you're going to watch in any given anime season will be the ones that feel almost familiar on paper. The tagline, One Punch Man attends Hogwarts, it gets you interested. But really, at the end of the day, this show was so much more than just that intriguing tagline. And from the comedy, from the wearing their heart on their sleeves, I truly leave this first episode honestly within at least this probably top 3 of the season right now for me. That's just how much I'm loving it right now, and hopefully I'm not alone. Clearly, if my excitement isn't getting it across, let me say it. I thought this was a fantastic first episode, and I highly recommend it, and I can't wait to talk about it next week. Thoughts, feelings yourself though down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Also be sure to ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload on the channel, and like I mentioned, we do have that full live reaction available on my Patreon. And while you're there, you can also get video shoutouts like Ryan Feather, The Cam Man, 624, and Fernando are getting today, so I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.